Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And in lieu of Rainbow Cup SA this weekend, we were doing the live watch along yesterday of Cheetahs versus the Invitational, a fantastic game. You can go check out our review on that on the channel as well. We will also be uploading some clips on it to our TikTok channel over the week. So if you want to go see some of the action from the game, no highlights anywhere on the internet at the moment, go and check out our TikTok channel over the next few days. We will be posting a couple of clips and stuff like that. But whilst we were doing the watch along, we're talking about sort of the North versus South final and what to sort of expect. And a lot of South Africans haven't really sort of had the time or haven't really managed to sort of keep track with what's going on in the Northern Hemisphere segment of the Rainbow Cup, which, because let's be honest, before about 2 weeks ago, it wasn't really relevant. They were gonna have their own competition. We were gonna have our own competition down here, and that was gonna be it. But then they announced the North versus South final and the fact that those two competitions were gonna merge into one big game. And so all of a sudden, the South African fans have had to have a look at what's actually going on overseas and what's happening. And obviously, there's a couple of big names that you'll know. The likes of Munsters, your Leinsters, your Ulsters and stuff like that. But I thought that today we're going to try out a little bit of a different format, something that we're going to use to try and do sort of more sort of maybe news sort of stuff. So we'll move over to that in a moment. I thought that we'll take a video just to sort of look at what's happening in the Northern Hemisphere in the Rainbow Cup. Get an idea of some big performances, some of the teams, and just start to sort of learn these teams up and see what to expect come the North versus South final, and who at the moment it's the Bulls in front of their Rainbow Cup SA, but to see who they will actually go and face and what they can expect if they do go overseas. But before we do that, please smash a like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel as well. We're back to Rainbow Cup SA coverage this week, which is going to be really, really cool. Obviously, we're going to have previews, reviews. We've got a Springbok announcement on Friday, so we're going to be doing a video on the potential Springbok squad as well. So if you have any sort of ideas of Springbok bolters or anything like that, chuck them down in the comments below. Let me know what you think the squad's going to look like. But yeah, without any further ado, let's go have a look at exactly what we're going to see and what we have seen so far in the Northern Hemisphere version of the Rainbow Cup. Right, so we're going to move to the match and we're just going to look at what's happening this weekend, and then we're going to take a little look back towards where we've come from and sort of how it's all transpiring as we look at the table, some of the key stats, some of the teams that are performing very well. So this weekend was quite a big weekend because this result means absolutely everything. This Benetton versus Connacht result is huge because Benetton, obviously a club from England, from Italy, play their rugby in Treviso, which is where actually is going to be the Rainbow Cup final. And so interestingly enough, they were on top of the log before this weekend, and they were going to come up against Connacht this weekend. A lot of people sort of thought, well, that's it. This is where Benetton drop points. This is where they won't be able to get that victory. This is where they lose grip of that first position. But as you can see, 20 points to 12, a very, very big victory for the Italians in the stadium that will host the final, which means that they are currently playing for position in the final of the Rainbow Cup, which will be played at their own stadium, and it's been announced that they could welcome up to 1,000 fans at home against the South African champions in the Rainbow Cup. So I mean, if you ever talk about incentive, I don't think it gets more incentive than one to do that. So we saw Munster beating Cardiff Blue this weekend. We saw Glasgow Warriors beating the Dragons 27 points to 16 in Cardiff. But that was all that we saw this weekend, just the 3 games. So if we throw it all the way back to the beginning, let's sort of work out where we've come and how all these sort of teams have come up. So the biggest problem is that there are only 6 game weeks. And so obviously there's not enough time for all these different teams to play each other. So much like the SA sides, a lot of it's going to be local derbies. So we saw local derbies here, Ulster versus Connacht getting a victory from the first round. Edinburgh beating Zebra from Italy 24 points to 18. This was a sort of immediate, sort of quite a big result. Benetton beating Glasgow Warriors 46 points to 19. Especially that scoreline, I think, was very impressive. And that kind of sort of set a bit of a standard. We then saw Ospreys beating Cardiff Blues. Leinster going down to Munster. That was also a massive statement. Munster saying, listen, we want to actually go and play in this final, win the Rainbow Cup. And then the Dragons thrashed the Scarlets in a 52-32 very high-scoring game there. Moving on to round 2. So there, immediately we saw the sort of local derby and stuff like that. Here we go, another local derby. Zebra going down to Benetton, 20 points to 25. So nothing too much in between them. Munster thrashing Ulster, 38 points to 10. If I can remember correctly, this was the match where Ulster got a red card. I remember watching some of it. And then we had Glasgow Warriors, another local derby, beating Edinburgh. Connacht beating Leinster. Losing to Leinster, 50 points to 21. Scarlets beating Ospreys, Cardiff Blues beating the Dragons. So, there we go. Local derbies, pretty much all over the place. So, I mean, yeah, it has been a very localized competition. Then round 3, which was 2 weekends ago, we saw Munster going down to Connacht. Now, that was a very, very important result because, especially with Benetton having kept their winning streak here against Zebra in their second game, this time at home, and then winning this last weekend. It's this result here which has been had a very big effect. Leinster beating Ulster narrowly, and Cardiff Blues just edging the Scarlets. Glasgow Warriors beating Edinburgh here, and Ospreys beating the Dragons. So after that, and we've just seen the 3 games from this weekend. So the problem is when you look at this table now, then not all sides have played 4 games. But if we go and look at the table itself, Benetton are sitting here with a 3-point lead, having played the same amount of games as Munster and Glasgow. Even these teams over here who are on 10 points and have only played 3 games, you look at Ospreys here, a bonus point victory would only put them at 15 points. So Benetton are currently sitting with a 3-point lead at the top of the table. So they really are the sort of the teams try and knock off. And I mean, you look over here, Munster going that, as I said, that 1 game down there against Connacht, that was a huge result for them. That could have been them missing out on the final. Glasgow Warriors have been quite solid, but I mean, Benetton 4 wins out of 4, 2 bonus points. I mean, it's interesting because unfortunately they're lucky in that they've got to play. They played 2 games against Zebra, but I think this weekend beating Connacht was a big statement, saying, you know what, for all the people who say that we're only beating our own sort of local rivals, we actually are here to compete. And we're going to look at some of the players in Benetton, sort of see what are the big names to look out for if they are to go. But I mean, Ulster's been very disappointing. 4 games, 3 losses, 1 draw. I mean, nothing really particularly to write home about. Zebra has been predicted to be pretty poor. Edinburgh struggling as well. So yeah, I mean, Munster were probably the tournament favourites, but that losing just that 1 game because it's such a short competition has immediately sort of put their place in that final in doubt. So if we look at the fixtures still to come, this coming weekend we're going to see Connacht playing Ospreys. We're going to say Leinster versus Glasgow Warriors. Edinburgh is playing Ulster. Cardiff Blues are against Zebra. So nothing there that's going to affect Benetton. So it's all going to come down to this weekend. This weekend, the last weekend of rugby, Friday 11th of June and Saturday the 12th of June. We've got Munster versus Zebra. So expect Munster to win, take a bonus point. So expect them to get up to 20 points, which means Benetton need to try and beat Ospreys and try and get sort of 3 points out of there. If they do that, they are in the final. So that game over there is very important. Saturday the 12th of June, 8:30 there South African Standard Time. And this game is going to be very important. So if we look at that final table, we'll see that Ospreys are sitting here in 4th. So, look, a bonus point victory puts them at 15 points, which means that, when they're going to be playing Benetton, they could even be playing for a position to potentially try and get a place in the final, depending on if the right results go in their favour. But they will need to do something pretty special if they were to try and get into that final. They need a bonus point victory and another bonus point victory against Benetton. So it's actually shaping up to quite a cool little sort of clash. A lot of different sort of variants in here as well. So if we look at Benetton and South African fans, let's be honest, you haven't watched a lot of Benetton. So let's look at we're going to look at some of their players, and there's a big name that you'll recognize quite quickly as a South African fan, and that is where is he? The captain Dewald Duvenage. Obviously played all those games for the Storm, is very well known to the South African audience. So he's currently playing for Benetton, but the big sort of stars for them, you've got Monty Ione, and then I don't think he's got a photo. Paulo Galbizi. He's been brilliant so far in the Rainbow Cup. We'll see it when we look at the sort of the stats, and you see how he's topping a lot of the stats itself. But if we go to the stats for the competition so far, we're going to start with the team stats. So if we have a look at Benetton, they have scored the most points in the tournament so far. Also leading in offloads. Try scored, they scored 14 points. They're the 3rd highest try scorers. 5th meters gained, 5th clean breaks, 5th defenders beaten. And if you look at the game this weekend, it wasn't necessarily a try scoring affair. It was through the boot of Paulo Galbizi that they did win a very important game. Munster over here have scored the 2nd highest amount of points, as you'd imagine, sitting in 2nd place. They scored the most tries. They are 2nd with the most offloads, but 7th with defenders beaten, 6th with clean breaks, and 4th with meters gained. If we're looking at defensively, this is why this tells a huge story. You talk about the fact that attack, gives you points on the board, but defense can win you games, defense can win you tournaments, and this for me is the biggest sort of statistic. Benetton are currently operating with a tackle success rate of 90%. Now, yes, they haven't necessarily played the best sides in this competition, but a 90% tackle success rate across this competition is very impressive. They made 653 tackles. They've won the second most turnovers, and they've missed 63 tackles, so the eighth least tackles out of 12. So that shows you why they've been so solid and what has sort of been their biggest thing this tournament over here. So if you're looking at penalty scored and missed, this is all Paulo Garbizzi. Been very, very good, solid there. Discipline-wise, I mean, 1 yellow card there, 22 penalties conceded. If we're looking at sort of Munster and Benetton have conceded 46 penalties so far, Munster 51. So also discipline not too shabby for either of those sides. I mean, lineouts and scrums, I mean, it's interesting to look at, but I mean, it's I don't think it's the biggest sort of metric. If you're looking at Munster, the scrums they lost 2 scrums the entire tournament, 92% success rate. I mean, scrums when it comes to Italy is quite interesting because obviously you never really back an Italian pack to be that good, but they've won 30 out of they've won 30 scrums and lost 4 with an 88% success rate. So that's a decent statistic. And we're looking at lineouts over here, Benetton as well. 50%. I mean, sorry, lineouts won 50. Lineouts lost 7. I mean, it's all right, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, lineouts are pretty arbitrary metric if we're going to be very honest. And then if you're looking at some of the player stats, some of the leading performance in the competition so far, as it loads here. Come on. The big one for me is Paulo Garbizzi. I'm such a big fan of him. I mean, 21 years old, currently, leading the Italians, well, not captain, but I mean, leading the Italian backline, marshalling that defense. And I thought had some very good moments in the Six Nations. He had some very poor moments as well, but also had some very impressive moments. And he's been a player who is really starting to sort of come to the fore. And when you think that he's so young, it's a very good player to work around. So you can see there, 7 points clear of Sam Davies at the leading point scorer in the competition. Ross Thompson at 32, Carlo Canna at 30, and Jared Evans at 28. The leading try scorer at the moment is Jonah Holmes with 4. We've got Tua Halafia, Callum Blade, Hugo Keane, and Conor Murray all with 3 over there. Clean breaks, Jonah Holmes could have always kind of makes sense. Over there is also beaten the most defenders, or pretty, as you'd expect. Meter gains, I mean, Jonah Holmes has been very, very solid for the Dragons. 310 meters there, quite a few more than the next best. Offloads, Jaden Hayward leads over there. In terms of carries, we've got Renato Gimeroli with 50, CJ Stanley with 49, and also always expect him to be up there. Tackles made, I mean, this is what I'm saying, as much as you can sit there and say Benetton haven't played the best sides, when you've got their players always in and around there, there we go, Toa Halafia with 3rd in the carries here. You've got Benetton players scattered everywhere. Jaden Hayward with the most offloads. Marcus Zanon right there up there as well. You've got Paulo Garbizzi at the top of the leading scorer. It's just they're doing the right things, and it's not like it's just a one-man show. There are a lot of different players who are contributing and very good. So yeah, Michel Amaro with the most tackles made in the competition. First and second most tackles in the competition are Benetton players. CJ Stander up there, Ollie Robinson, Jamie Hodgson. Turnovers 1, again another Benetton player. So it's you can see that how they're sort of winning a lot of the small battles all around the pitch, and that's been quite a big effort. Obviously, there are a couple of players who are leading from the front lines, but scattered in amongst the players are a lot of different sort of players who are contributing. So Paulo Garbizzi has hit 10 out of 12 penalties so far, and 11 out of 14 conversions. So kicking very, very well is the young fly half. Discipline over here, probably something that Benetton will want to try and sort of sort out. But yeah, I mean, moving into sort of those stats. So yeah, it's very interesting in terms of what to expect. A lot of people are sort of worried that Benetton won't provide a particularly good competition for the likes of a Bulls or a Sharks or Stormers if they go overseas and play against them. But it's difficult to sort of argue against them deserving it when they've done the hard yards. And obviously, it's not going to be a completely fair reflection because it's not like it's every single side, all 12 sides playing each other at once. Benetton have had the opportunity of playing 2 of their 5 games against Zebra. So they've got that boost. But they have also had to play some better teams and get some very hard-fought victories. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I love an underdog story, so it'll be interesting to see if they can go all the way. Obviously, from a fan's perspective, you probably want to see the likes of a Munster come from behind, because I think that's a much bigger clash in terms of the quality of player on display. It means you get to see Damien Delindi versus like Cornel Hendricks, for example. So that's why a lot of rugby fans want to see Munster go all the way. But Benetton at this stage are just not going anywhere. So at this stage, they are the front runners for that top position. If they can get that victory over Ospreys, we will see them at their home stadium with 1,000 fans playing against the best of South Africa, which should be quite cool. So yeah, there you have it, a very sort of brief and quick look at what's happening in the Northern Hemisphere competition of the Rainbow Cup. Let me know what you think of the teams. Are there any have you got a Northern Hemisphere team that you are backing, that you sort of are going to support next season? Are you going to have a South African side and a European side that you're going to try and follow and get behind and kind of learn more about? If you are, let me know which side that is going to be. Smash like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel. So much content coming up, so make sure you're part of it. My name is Steven. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll chat to you soon.